Although I will admit that there are some times when I'm driving to work and I'm like, I see where Thanos was coming from.
Oh yeah, you ever been driving to work and wish that you had like a snowplow on the front of your vehicle and you could just push them out of your way?
You are listening to Trophy Horse with your hosts, Tricky Mick, Alex, I Yield to No One,
Steve,
and Troy.
Hello, pimps and madams of the whoredom. Don't worry, you don't have to listen to me be host this week. But I hope you're sitting down, or you can brace yourselves. It's been an up and down week for video game news and nerdy stuff, more nerdy stuff. But you heard it here on Trophy Horrors, and you probably read it. Sony did a great thing. They brought in Insomniac Games, first-party developer, so really exciting. But then in typical Sony fashion, one step forward, 5 steps back. You know, they might be yanking Spider-Man out of the MCU. Still trying to work out a deal with Disney with, profit and whatnot. But it's not looking good right now. And then, same thing on Tuesday. It never want to hear this, but GameStop walks into Game Informer and goes, you know what? Half you guys and gals, you're done. See ya. And then we end the week with, and I hope you're really sitting down for this. We end the week with a positive that Ewan McGregor is coming back as young Obi-Wan. But then, the real shocker of the week, the Uncharted movie has lost its director again. So, we've got some good news, some stuff coming from Gamescom. So, with all that, I'm going to turn it over to the man, the myth, and the legend, Alex.
Boom! News blast! Didn't see that one coming, did you, folks? Hello, everyone, and welcome to Trophy Horrors. This is episode 402. I'm your host this week, Alex, along with my partner in crime, I Yield to No One.
Hi, everybody.
So, a couple thoughts from that. One, I prefer Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan to Alec Guinness's. Come fight me. Also, the Uncharted movie is never coming out because it has been in development for the longest time, and yeah, I just don't see it happening. Stranger things have happened. Duke Nukem came out. Duke Nukem Forever came out eventually. It just took forever. I just feel like this is one of those projects that all, like, aside from Assassin's Creed, like, all the popular video game movies that have been talked about, like, whether it be Shadow of the Colossus or Bioshock or Uncharted, it's just not going to happen.
No, it's not. I saw that, it may have been when I was putting the show notes together. I saw that little headline pop up, and I'm just like, well, why am I not surprised?
You're not surprised because you're a very smart man.
Yeah. I'll be more surprised when they say, in theaters this summer.
I mean, that would be the best time to release it, is during the summer. I mean, it's got summer thriller, like, blockbuster written all over it.
Yeah, it does.
Especially if they include that train scene from the beginning of Uncharted 2.
Oh my, that'd be amazing. To do that in the movies? Wow.
And since we're all into amazing things here on this show, we're going to talk about our updated trophy count because we are the Trophy Whores. Tricky is level 43 with a total trophy count of 10,580 with a platinum count of 144. I am level 31, total trophy count of 6,909 because I'm chasing them hard trophies in Crash Team Racing with a platinum count of 102 and 101 games. Steve is level 15 with 2,182 total trophies and a platinum count of 11. Sid is level 39 with a total trophy count of 9,110 and 167 platinums. And Yield is going to read you his own damn trophies.
Level 28, trophy count of 5857. Got 3 new ones this week. And holding steady at 91 platinums.
We all seem to be kind of holding steady at the platinum count that we're on. I mean, like I said, I'm playing Crash Team Racing, so I'm probably not gonna. I'm gonna get very close to that platinum, but probably not attain it.
I'm severely under my goal to average a platinum a month, unless all of a sudden I just get on a platinum roll at the end of the year.
Well, how many do you have so far this year?
1, maybe 2.
Sir, you are not far behind. You fell off the wagon at the station.
I did. I was playing Red Dead, getting through Red Dead, and then Days Gone, and I jumped in Days Gone. I did platinum that. I know for sure that's the one platinum I got. And then I have just been playing way too much World of Warships. Although trophies have come out, so at least making headway in that one, but I've been playing way too much World of Warships.
Think we need to have an intervention.
Maybe. Wreckfest is coming out on Tuesday, so that might tear me away from it.
Well, there's your intervention. It's another video game that
It's
you can
another
play.
video game.
All right, well, Yield.
Yeah.
You alluded to a little bit of what you've been playing. Let's make it official.
Okay.
What have you been doing since we last chatted on Monday? It's Friday, by the way, to break down the fourth wall, so we're recording kind of in close proximity to the last time.
So, really, I played some Red Dead Online, jumped into online and tried to advance my character a little bit, because I got to get to top out level 50 if I want to try to knock out the platinum in that. So I messed around that for a day or two, but mostly I've been playing a lot of World of Warships. Knocking off my trophies. I'm at 58%, and working on that campaign of the hunt for the turpits. So I'm not doing too bad in that. I figured there's 100 levels, and I think it's a 35-day campaign. So that worked out to 2.8 levels a day. That if you did that every day, then on the 100th or on the 35th day, you'd get the 100th level. So I'm 7 levels ahead of where I need to be right now. So I'm keeping ahead of the pace. So I may end up getting that ship. And that's all I've been playing. And of course, next week rolls out. Like I said, Wreckfest comes out. So I'll be playing a lot of that too.
World of Warships is going to get very cold and lonely next week.
But see, I still got that campaign going on, so I will play enough to try to keep moving on with that, because I don't have a big enough level lead to totally put it on the shelf.
You can play little by little, but given how excited you've been about Wreckfest, it's probably going to be the main focus of your video gaming attention.
It will be, especially with everything that I've seen from YouTube's on the PC version and some of the trailers. Oh, yeah.
All right, well, what I've been playing pretty much similar to last show, more Crash Team Racing, finishing up the Back in Time Grand Prix, and getting ever so closer to unlocking Entropy. So I talked about how hard the time trials are in previous episodes. I'm slowly making my way through all of them. There's 31 total you have to beat in order to unlock Entropy and get 2 silver trophies, one for beating all of Entropy's ghosts, as well as another one for unlocking all the characters present in the original Crash Team Racing. Entropy is the last character I need. The only one of the original tracks that I need to beat is Oxide Station, and after that I can move on to the Nitro Kart levels. So I'm more than halfway there.
Oh, well, that's good.
And, some of the levels that I've beaten, like Blizzard Bluff, Dragon Mines, Cortex Castle, are considered some of the hardest ones. So I'm at a good pace, and I finally have a good feel on things, so I'm not trying to do them all in one night. I'm taking them day by day, maybe do 1, maybe do 2 a day, so I don't, overwork myself, because, you hear stories online of people playing for 3 hours one track and still not beating the time trial, so I'm slowly but surely getting there. I'm not trying to overload myself all in one night.
You know what, and there's nothing wrong with that. There are some trophies that are very obtainable if you don't burn yourself out or beat your head against the wall. If you just kind of go, you know what, I'm just going to chip away at it.
Well, I mean, if you try to do it all at once, you're just going to get frustrated and end up quitting because you're like, why do I want to keep doing this?
Yeah, and you first started out going, these are probably going to be way too hard. I'm not even, I'm going to try, but I'm already banking that I'm not getting it. And then to hear you're already halfway and you've knocked out what the internet is saying are some of the hardest ones to get, that's awesome.
Yeah, I will say, though, that if I do unlock Entropy and finish all his time trials, I will have every trophy except for one, and that's the one for beating all of Oxide's times. And I truly have no plan to go do that, because at least if I beat Entropy's time trials, I get him as a character. The only thing that I get from putting myself through hell to beat all of the Oxide times, the only thing I get is the gold trophy, which would be nice to have the platinum, but I can live without that. I would much rather have Entropy as a character, to be perfectly honest, so.
Okay. So I take it Nitro's time trials are even more insane than what
yeah,
you're
I
doing
mean,
now.
the time trials in this game are harder than they were in the original PS1 Classic.
Wow. And now I'm just throwing this out there. Let's say for some reason you went going through, what'd you say? What's the character's name?
Dr. Nefarious Entropy. Or, sorry, Dr. Nefarious Trophy, so Entropy.
Entropy. So, for some reason, when you're beating Entropy's time trials, let's just say you beat Nitro's, and you had a heck of a good run. You even beat Nitro's. Do they give you credit for both, or do you got to do
here's
the
the thing
one?
about this. You have to first unlock Entropy's time trial, so you have to get a certain time to unlock his time trial. And even if you beat his time in that first trial run, you still have to beat him again.
Oh!
Then, if you beat him and beat Oxide's time, you have to go and do Oxide's in a separate race. So you have to do 3 runs, at least, to get
Double
them all.
balls!
Because on Cortex Castle, on my trial run to unlock the Entropy trial, to unlock his ghost, I beat his time by 2 seconds, and I still had to go back and beat him again. I think it should give you credit. But
I think it should. I think it should all stack, especially like that. You beat it by 2 seconds. Would that have cleared his time?
It would have cleared Entropy's time, but not Oxide's time.
Well, see, I think that should count. If you run that good of a lap, they should be like, okay, that unlocked, and you know what? You get that as well. That's just me. That's just the gamer in me from, because sometimes you can't. If you play enough, you practice good enough, you can lay down consistent good times. But sometimes you just get that everything lines up just right, and you laid down that one perfect lap, and it won't happen again.
To give you an idea, the biggest difference between Entropy on the PlayStation and on the PlayStation 4 is that now he takes the shortcuts. He doesn't take the shortcut every single lap, but for the most part, he will take the shortcuts. So even in that case, I think they made him too hard. I think they should have kept it with the original PlayStation version, where Oxide takes the shortcuts, but Entropy doesn't. Because I think the Entropy trials are a little too hard. Yeah, I'm making my way through them, but I don't think he should be taking the shortcuts. He should just race the level really well.
I got you. Because then Oxide's definitely taking the shortcuts and running better.
Oh yeah, I mean, against Oxide, you have to take the shortcuts or you won't win. You don't stand a chance.
Definitely a challenge.
Speaking of chances, there was probably very little chance that anyone would have guessed that our first news story would come to fruition. Now, the information comes to us from IGN.com's Seth Macy, who talks about the Yakuza Remastered Collection, which is available digitally right now. Now, there are some things that go along with this. If you want to wait for the disc versions, which will come with a... well, first of all, I guess we should clarify. When they say the Yakuza Remastered Collection, it's Yakuza 3, 4, and 5. And from what I understand, Yakuza 5 has never been released in the West. But...
Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Yield.
No, I was going to say, yeah, that's what I've heard as well.
Yeah. The disc versions come on February 11th, 2020, so you have to wait a bit longer if you want the disc versions. But if you want the digital version, you can actually go to the PSN store, and you can play Yakuza 3 right now, and then Yakuza 4 Remastered will release on October 29th, and Yakuza 5 Remastered will release on February 11th, same day and date with the physical collection. So, I mean, while you can't play them all now digitally, you can at least get your hands on one of them right now. If you want to wait for the physical edition, which comes at regular price, And the visuals have been given an upgrade from 720p and 30 frames per second to 1080p and 60 frames per second. And yeah, I mean, I know the Yakuza games are very popular, so I mean, this is really good news coming out of Gamescom.
Well, yeah, it is. I picked up, was it Yakuza 0? Whatever we got free for Plus a couple months ago. I picked it up. I'm going to give it a whirl. I'm considering getting this Yakuza Remastered Collection because I've heard really good things about it. And I've played some of Sleeping Dogs. And I know it's totally different, but it's kind of the same genre, I guess I want to say. So I'm interested in it. You?
No, I mean, the Yakuza games have never really been my thing. They're a lot like the Grand Theft Auto games, correct? I mean, not exactly the same. They're not carbon copies, but...
In a sense, yeah, because you're playing as a Yakuza gang member. So in a sense, it's... I think that was the comparison that it drew, was a Japanese Grand Theft Auto. It was kind of a, I don't want to say a lazy comparison, but an easy comparison. Maybe that's what I want to go with.
I mean, people love to compare Red Dead Redemption to Grand Theft Auto, although they were made and published by the same company. So, but we'll talk about the physical release here a little bit. We mentioned some things before, but just to clarify, the IGN article says that it's the first time for the physical release of Yakuza 5 in the West, so maybe it was available digitally before. But what you get in the package, you essentially get a big box, like a PS3 box, where you can store everything in, and the games come, Yakuza 3 and 4 come on one disc, Yakuza 5 comes on its own disc. It comes in a PS3 case, and you get, that comes inside of and I'm going to quote, this is a quote, a striking red collectible case emblazoned with Kiryu's trademark dragon tattoo. So the actual PS3 box that holds the games, the disc, comes inside a PS4 box that has the tattoo on it. A nice, pretty... This doesn't do you a lot of good listening to me describe it, but there are pictures online. You can go look at it. It's a nice package, especially when it's going to be $60. And right now, apparently, the only place that you can buy it is, besides the PlayStation Store, is Amazon.com.
Oh, wow, awesome. But I think that's a good deal. $60 for 3 games?
Oh, absolutely, especially games the size of Yakuza. I mean, we give publishers shit for releasing games all the time, but a lot of times, like the Crash games were $40. I believe Shadow of the Colossus for PS4 was $40, and these games are essentially $20 each, which is a budget like greatest hits price. So
greatest hits price, yeah, exactly. And Spyro was $40. So I mean, I have crapped on remastered games, but at the same time, I've also, if the price is done right, you can't overly complain. I mean, you can complain about it, but you can't go at them with pitchforks and torches. $60, like you said. So you're paying $20 a game. That's greatest hit price. I don't see a problem with that. Especially on games like this that are very well received, and they're not necessarily well known here in the West. So it's like awesome. I mean, they could have easily kind of raked us over the coals with it. Oh, you've never got this physically.
Well, not only that, but they are, of course, decently large games, so you'll have plenty to do and plenty of value with your $60.
Absolutely.
Now, what exactly draws you to the Yakuza collection? I mean, you said that you downloaded it when it was free for PlayStation Plus, but was there anything in particular?
I think it's the whole Japanese culture, the kung fu and all that, it's not all just about, beating, fist fighting and gun shooting. They got the whole kung fu going, it's kind of interesting.
They know kung fu.
They do.
So yeah, if you're interested in the Yakuza collection, the remastered collection, again, the physical discs come out on February 11th next year, but if you don't want to wait, you can at least play the Yakuza 3 Remastered right now on the PlayStation Network. Go on there. And again, the other 2 remasters, 4 and 5, come out later this year, one in October and the other one in February, to coincide with the release of the physical editions. And this episode feels tailor-made for you, because we're just talking about stuff that you love, including CG Project Red's Cyberpunk 2077.
See, you're starting to get excited about this game.
I mean, I like the way it looks visually, but as far as the gameplay goes, I'm not sold yet. And I like that there's a focus on the single player. I like that we can still have a very healthy multiplayer ecosystem, for all mini games. But I love the fact that people are still trying to tell us engaging stories, enthralling stories through really well crafted single player modes. Cyberpunk 2077 is being made by CD Projekt Red, which I didn't know had a team of 400 people, which is about double what it was for The Witcher. Of course, The Witcher known as a really good game series. So, I feel very confident that CD Projekt Red will make a very good game out of Cyberpunk 2077. Now, I realize that everyone has to be skeptical until the game comes out, until we see more. But, I mean, things are looking really good for them. This information comes from Adam Bankhurst of IGN.com. Yield loves his IGN.com stories.
Now, they're very informational.
So, Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be focused on single player, but CD Projekt Red is tinkering with, they're kind of in an R&D phase with potential multiplayer. Now, what they have been very careful to state is that this does not guarantee multiplayer will actually make it into the game, but they are working to see if it'll fit. They basically don't want to try to fit a square block into a circular hole. So they say if it works, we'll put it in there. If it doesn't work, it just doesn't work, and we can't make it fit.
Okay, so not that I am against multiplayer. I'm against multiplayers that are forced into a game because multiplayer is the in thing. I'm against that. But taking this approach to where we're going to try, or we're experimenting. And if it works, we'll put it in. If not, we're not going to. I'm okay with that because they're at least going to make it feel comfortable for them. They're not going to put it in because the masses say they want it. Now that I have said that, from what I've read of the game and what I've seen of it, I'm not trying to dive in too deep. I'm kind of just trying to stay a little dark in this game because I'm liking what I'm seeing. I don't know how multiplayer would fit into this world. Now, granted,
clearly capture the flag.
Clearly zones in Team Deathmatch. I haven't seen a lot of gameplay, so I don't, maybe it would fit really well, but just from what I've kind of read and kind of seen, I don't see where it would fit in. But I give them props for putting it in R&D and going, well, will it work?
I am totally okay with them saying, hey, we're going to, testing the water, see if it fits in there. I don't want multiplayer thrown into games just for the sake of multiplayer. Don't just throw it. This is a big discussion people had at when Dead Space 3 came out and EA just shoved multiplayer into there.
How'd that work for them?
It didn't work out very well for Dead Space at all. It was the worst received of all the Dead Space games. 1 and 2 were, people loved them. 3, not so much. We actually got that for PlayStation Plus free 1 month, and I've beaten both Dead Space and Dead Space 2. Actually, no, I don't have the Platinum in 2 because it had that hard to the core trophy where you had to beat the game on hardcore mode with only 3 saves.
Let's say with 3 saves, yeah.
But I do have the Platinum from the first one. But, Dead Space was a game that was very meant to isolate you, and throwing multiplayer in there with a co-op system with a buddy didn't make sense. I realized that, a lot of people love co-op elements in games. Certain games don't need them, and that was definitely one of them. This one, that may be the case with this one. I don't like multiplayer for the sake of multiplayer to say, hey, we have multiplayer, so that's another thing for you to play in this game. If it works, then I'm fine with it. I think that a lot of people were really hesitant to have it on Uncharted, but I think that Naughty Dog made it work really well. I think that the multiplayer is fun. Now, granted, I spent far more time with the single player than the multiplayer, but I know that the multiplayer for Uncharted has lived on for quite a long time.
It has. I enjoyed Uncharted 2 multiplayer, which was the first one, far more than I have any of the other ones. I've kind of liked them. I've played them enough to get my trophies. But the second one, which you can go back and listen to either Game Twerp or maybe even I talked about it here on Trophy Horse, I was totally against it. Absolutely thought it was the worst idea that they could possibly do, and I was absolutely 100% wrong because Naughty Dog knocked it out of the park, and it was fun. But I enjoyed the story multiplayer part of it. The one where you could have the 3 players where you were working through like mini stories. That's the part I loved. The straight up traditional multiplayer, sorry not to cut you off.
No, you're fine. I was just letting you finish. So yeah, I mean, sometimes it works out for games, other times it doesn't, but it's on a game by game basis. You know, you have to take it case by case. So the fact that CD Projekt Red is saying, "Hey, we're just not going to shove this in there," like if it's viable, if we think it's a good fit, then it'll be in there. But we're not promising anything. So being very upfront and open and honest about it, I think, is definitely great.
Yes, I think totally agree.
That kind of creates strengthens the relationship between you and your consumers, you and your player base and their fans. Like it's great for them to come out and say this and say, you know, hey, for sake of transparency, this is what we're doing. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be in the game, but hey, we'll try. We'll see if it fits. So I mean, like, hats off to CD Projekt Red, who's taking the right approach to it.
Yes, I totally agree with that.
And for all the disappointment that we heard coming from E3 about Marvel's Avengers, of course being developed by Crystal Dynamics, it seems that there's a lot of care going into this game and a lot of thought going into this game as well. You know, even if people want to complain about the fact that the Avengers don't look like their movie counterparts, because guess what? They're not supposed to. Those characters have been around for, you know, years and years, you know, going on, like, we're starting to get close to a century for some of these characters, and yeah, so they were around long before Chris Hemsworth and, you know, Robert Downey Jr., so
Chris Evans.
Silly, I always forget Chris Evans' name, I don't know why.
Scarlett Johansson.
Mark Ruffalo.
There you go. That's the name I always forget.
Yeah, we fill in each other's blanks.
There you go.
But basically out of Gamescom came information that Marvel and Crystal Dynamics have been working together to create an original story for the upcoming Marvel's Avengers video game, which is amazing news. Like, we don't want to play just the movies we just saw. So the fact that they're collaborating with Marvel, who owns the property, that's great stuff. They also talked about how they are, you know, making the characters play differently through skill trees. Some characters have more skill tree, like multiple skill trees. Tony Stark and Iron Man being one of those, who has 3 skill trees dedicated to repulsors, lasers, and rockets. You'll also be able to customize your Avengers with different gears, and these gears will all be different rarities. Some will be legendary. So coming out of the IGN article written by, we'll give proper credit here, by Jordan Sirani. Obviously, the harder to find or the rarer the gear, the better perks it'll have. So not only will you have skill trees to differentiate your Avengers, which means that your Avenger, even if you and a friend are both playing as Thor, you may have completely different experiences with that character because there are skill trees, but there's also gear which you can equip to your characters to grant your characters different perks. Yield, what so far... does any of this information change? Because it seems like you came out of E3 underwhelmed as well.
Well, I did, and I came out like everybody else. Well, that doesn't look like the movies. But instead of outcrying like everybody else was, I also realized at the same token, okay, Crystal Dynamics is not going to shell out the money to get all those actors for facial recognition and reprise those roles. I understood that. It's an adjustment that I have to make on my end. But I wasn't thrilled with the initial trailer that I saw. It just didn't grab me like I was hoping. All this buzz around this game. But I'm still, because Tricky's really thrilled about this. So I'm still optimistic about it. I think there's even a trailer, or I know that I read that there's gameplay going to be coming out soon for this game. And I really want to see that because it looked what we saw at E3, it looked rough. Not like bad rough. It just didn't look as polished as you would think for E3.
Well, I thought they said the game was still in alpha, so I mean, you kind of got to expect it to be a little rough when it's still in alpha.
Yeah. So I mean, and I think that's what kind of killed some of the buzz for me. But I wasn't ready to flush it down a toilet. So I'm waiting to see this gameplay release, see if it's polished up, see how it looks. So I liked from the article that it said that Marvel has been very encouraging with them of letting them go their own original route and trying to blend I believe it was, they just came off their 80th anniversary.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that Marvel is steering the ship too. It's not like Crystal Dynamics has free reign.
I'm sure, but I like how they're taking. It said in the article that they're taking their 80-year history, and they're taking that and they're blending that into their own original story.
And that also includes the costumes. They're going back and looking at classic costumes and kind of using those, but also kind of updating them for more modern looks.
Yeah. But Marvel's like, yeah, I like that. Go with it. And I like that, because Marvel could just sit there and go, nope, we've made all this money in the MCU. Nope, this is how you're going to do it. And they're letting them do their thing.
To be fair, it's not like Marvel was trying to create a game on their own. They went to Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix for a reason, because they know that Crystal Dynamics are world-class developers and they know how to make a game.
Yeah. And so... And my train just derailed. Hate it when that happens.
Did somebody leave a penny on the railway, on the rail tracks?
They did, and the train just...
I'm glad, Yield, that you're not ready to flush this game down the toilet, because this game certainly deserves more consideration than your everyday household goldfish.
Yes, it does. Like I said, the only thing I was disappointed about from the whole thing was it doesn't have local co-op.
I mean, that is disappointing, yes.
Because I was thinking a game like this would have been perfect for local co-op.
You're not wrong about that. Almost as perfect as butter is for toast.
Exactly. So, but I'm not going to let that, be a deterrent for the game. It's just something that I'm disappointed. Like the masses were disappointed that it wasn't the movie characters in there. I'm disappointed that it wasn't local co-op.
I mean, yours is a little bit more functional than just simple cosmetics and being silly like everybody else who was complaining.
Yeah, it is. But I'm trying to put it in comparison for those out there. That was my disappointment.
Well, the other thing that they did talk about, and they're already planning post-launch content, including new characters, regions, and costumes, and a lot of this content will be free. So, not all of it, but there is a good amount of it that will be free.
See, I like that. Because then it makes you more want to buy the content that they put out. Well, look what all they gave me for free. You know what? Sure, here you go.
Hey, you know what? Rocket League gave us a ton of free content over the years, but during the Radical Summer, I went out and bought the Ghostbusters pack because I really wanted that Stay Puft Goal Explosion.
Yeah, I need to go pick that up because I want that. I've been using the Jurassic Park goal explosion. I need to get Stay Puft.
I saw you told me the price. I thought it was gonna be more. You told me the price. I'm like, $199. Shit, I might as well be stealing the game from Psyonix, or I might as well be stealing the content from Psyonix. That's so cheap.
I know, right? They do their DLC right.
Well, they've always done it right because they use their game as a platform and then release content afterwards and continue to support it. So even after you've made that initial investment, 3 years later, the game is still fun as shit.
Oh, absolutely.
Or no, is it 4 years later?
It might be 4 years later.
Wily bastards.
And they keep updating it, and it's just, and every so often they add a new course and they do their seasonal stuff. It for me, it draws me back in. I kind of, okay, I'm gonna go play something else. Oh, they're doing a Halloween stuff? Okay, let's play.
Oh, I'm game. I think I was completely on board last year when they released like the fireplace wheels, like tires for the cars.
For Christmas?
The holiday wreath with like the stockings and the lights on it. Incredibly cheesy, but I loved every second of that. I'll tell you that much.
I got all that holiday. I got the snowstorm paint job, so to speak. The snow is always flowing across your car. That's pretty wicked, man.
I spent so much time during the Radical Summer event collecting over 1,000 cassettes, and that's after I had bought everything that I wanted from the television section of the DLC. So yeah, so it's nice to see that you're not going to just get a $60 game. You're going to get also more post-launch content, including new characters. Oh my god, who could that be? You know, it's not just costumes, but you're also getting new characters, which I assume means new gear and new skill trees. New skill trees at the very least. But yeah.
At least. And then new levels, because you more likely will get a level to go with your new character.
Well, they're calling them regions, so you're going to get more than just a level.
Oh, well, then you're going to get a whole area.
Yep. So it seems like after an initial cooling off and how people were excited for Avengers, probably because Avengers, after Infinity War and Endgame, it's not hard to be excited for a video game that you think is going to be in those veins. I think that, now that they're showing more of the game and exploring more of the game and kind of explaining it more after, people were kind of disappointed by E3, I think that more and more people will come around and, get excited once again for the game.
I believe so. Once this gameplay trailer releases, that'll help.
All right, well, Yield, it's late on a Friday night.
Yeah, it is.
We covered the news. I think the only thing to do now is clean this shit up and do some housekeeping.
Get out the brooms. Time to get out of here.
I reversed my own sake. I reversed it this week. Let's do some housekeeping, and we're going to do that by cleaning this shit up. All right, there we go. Things are set right again. All right.
There we go.
If you are a talented writer, podcaster, video editor, news reporter, or you do work with just any websites, have any experience, please go to provengamer.com and click the Help Wanted tab. Jump through all the application process that Tricky has set up for you. If you want to become a part of provengamer.com, we'd love to have you. Just go there, click on the tab, follow everything that Tricky has set up for you, and Tricky will get back to you as soon as possible. If you watch video game content on Twitch, Proven Gamer's got a channel. Hooray!
Hooray!
Go to twitch.tv/PreviewGamer to check out what we're streaming now, or the next time we're streaming, or, I believe we give updates on what we're streaming, probably on Twitter as well as on Discord. Twitter, we have a Twitter for the website, Proven Gamer. We also have personal Twitter pages. I'm at Sonosaurus Rex. He's at I Yield to No One. Steve's at BadChild27, Sid is at Sidonie, and Tricky Mick is at Tricky Mick. Go figure. If you want to reach us via email, you can send an email to trophyhorse@provengamer.com. The phone number that you can call, Yield?
330-PROVEN9, 330-776-8369, for those that can't spell on a phone.
Well, hopefully you can spell, because you need to find the other hot podcast on the Proven Gamer Podcast Network, which includes, according to Daryl, Resident Daryl, the flagship show of Proven Gamer, PG Spoilers, new episodes coming out, Nintendo Dual Screens, for all you Mario and Smash Brothers fans out there, with Steven and Andy, where they a lot of times focus on interviews with developers, including a lot of indie developers, and the Game Stuff podcast, which is a more generalized gaming podcast, but nonetheless, Joe and Clyde do a lot to focus on some of the biggest topics in gaming, so go check out Game Stuff as well. 3 other great podcasts that you can listen to here on the network. Where can you find them? Apple Podcast, which is formerly iTunes, Stitcher, various podcast apps, Google Play, TuneIn, and you can find Nintendo Dual Screens and Trophy Horrors on iHeartRadio and Spotify. Yield, how about you share our PlayStation 4 communities so that if they're on the PlayStation 4, they can join us?
So, I have a PlayStation 4 community called the Platinum Guild, where you come, post your latest Platinum. The site has a PlayStation 4 community, Proven Gamer. Trophy Horse has a PlayStation 4 community, but it's not called Trophy Horse because Shuhei won't let us say whores no matter how you do it. Asterisks, backwards letters, doesn't matter.
What if you do a double V for the W, like they did with the movie The Witch?
I haven't tried that.
And what if the I is a 1?
Maybe I should try that. I know I tried a few different alterations, and it would not let you do it. So anyway, it's called the T-Dubs Brothel because the whores hang out in the brothel. So that's where you can find our PlayStation 4 communities.
Before we get to our shoutouts, we want to thank our sponsors. We are proud to be in a partnership with the Humble Bundle. If you don't know what Humble Bundle is, every month, it's a charity initiative that every month bundles together games, books, ebooks, all kinds of different stuff. They sell them as a package. You get to name your price, although the pricing is tiered, so the amount of content that you get from each bundle depends on how much you spend. Generally, the video game value is over $200. A lot of times it's over $250. So even if you have to spend $20 to get all the content, it's still a great deal, and you're helping charity. Go to humblebundle.com to sign up for their electronic newsletter, as well as look at all the bundles they have for this month. We want to take this time to thank our Patreon producers, Felicia Steff and CJ Anderson. If you want to support Trophy Whores on Patreon, go to patreon.com/ProvenGamer. There's a bunch of different tiers on how you can support us. There's different rewards for each tier. So please go to patreon.com/ProvenGamer to check out everything we've got to offer you. And just consider supporting the show. And even if you can't support us with your money, just, word of mouth. That's another great way to support us. Amazon.com. Before you go to Amazon to do any of your shopping, toilet paper, mittens, fire pokers, whatever, please come to ProvenGamer.com and click the link that'll take you straight to Amazon on our homepage. What this does, it helps us. Give us a little extra cash to help with server fees, to help keep the site open. So please, before you go shopping on Amazon, come to the website first. Click the link. It's one extra step, but it does help us out quite a bit. So we definitely appreciate it. Finally, Extra Life. November 2nd is the date of the event this year. If you want more information or you want to sign up, go to extra-life.org. It's a charity initiative, a 24-hour gaming marathon in which you pick a Children's Miracle Network hospital to represent, and you collect donations or sponsorships from friends, family, and coworkers in support of your marathon. The money that you collect goes, 100% of the money that you collect goes to support the Children's Miracle Network hospital that you've opted to represent. The motto for Extra Life is play games, heal kids, and it is the ultimate win-win situation in this universe. This universe that still exists, even though Thanos tried to kill half of us.
Just half of you.
That is going to bring us to the end of our housekeeping. Before we get out of here, we've got to do one last thing, and that is our shout-outs. Yield.
So, I first off would like to give a shout-out to the writers of IGN for writing the articles for which I polled for our topics today. I'd like to give a shout-out to you, all the pimps and the madams of the whoredom. A shout-out to Alex for hosting and recording tonight. A kind of a shout out / more twerp you. A twerp you towards GameStop for cutting half of the Game Informer staff, because I enjoy reading Game Informer. But then also a shout out in the sense to the people of Game Informer, because I enjoy reading their articles, and I hope that those who lost their job bounce back very quickly.
Let's be honest, GameStop's model of being a game specialty retailer is not sustainable. Within the next 5 years, they'll all go out of business.
See, I buy the majority of my games from GameStop, only because if I'm buying a game and they've got a pre-order bonus and I get something extra, I'll get it from them. Before the GameStops bought out all the mom and pop stores, there was a mom and pop store in a local mall where I bought my games. Because
Yield, you're not better than anyone else. We all went to Electronics Boutique.
That was the first video game store that was in my area. I had heard of these video game stores, but they were from my area, they were in the big city. And I just didn't go to the big city. And then when one came to a neighboring town, it was like, oh my God, finally. So that's where I bought my video games. Occasionally I'd buy them from a Kmart, but mostly I bought them from there. And then they got bought out. GameStop is everywhere now. It's hard to find a mom and pop store for video games. So I wouldn't be overly sad if they went away.
Well, then you better stop buying your damn games there.
I should.
Just buy from Amazon. You'll be buying everything from there anyway.
But then on the same token, over the last few years, they expanded very quickly. You know, Think Geek, Game Informer, everywhere. You know, they were gobbling up these things, kind of in a sense of, not to be poking fun at anybody, but kind of how Telltale got big real quick.
Well, I think what they were trying to do is diversify, because they're like, oh god, like, there's only so much market share we can gain by selling video games, because, you know, we're competing against the Amazons, the Walmarts, the Targets. Can we really do that? I mean, you saw what happened to Toys R Us, which is a toys, like, specialty retailer, although there's word now that Toys R Us is coming back by the end of the year in some form. But I think that they were trying to diversify to make sure that their business wasn't solely relying upon video games. But I mean, there is definitely a chance that they just expanded way too much and spent way too much money, and they can't. I mean, obviously, them cutting the Game Informer staff shows that.
Yeah, and so when I heard that news this week, I was just like, there had been murmurs for months that, you know, that they're in trouble, things were going downhill. And then they cut the Game Informer staff, and it's like, you know what? I think this boulder is really rolling downhill fast. So anyway, I'm sorry. I kind of ended my shout-outs on such a bummer note, but...
No, you're fine. That stuff has to be talked about. It's important, too.
It is.
Give a shout-out to the listeners, the fuel to the fire that is Trophy Horse. Thank you all very much for your continued support of the show. Without you all, this engine just doesn't go. There's no coal going into the train. Engineer can't work. So, without you all, there would be no word of mouth for Trophy Horse, there would be no growth for Trophy Horse, and we certainly wouldn't be on iHeartRadio or Spotify, so thank you all very much for your continued support. Also, give a shout out to Yield for recording with me late on this Friday night, and enduring all my technical issues. Basically, but we tried to record for about 30 minutes before we actually got to record, because my mic jack was not plugged into the desk, like the tower, for the desktop. And Yield asked me multiple times, are you sure it's plugged in? And I'm sitting here checking all the wires going into the microphone. I'm like, yeah, of course it is. And then I get down on the floor, like, as I'm unplugging it. And I look and I see, oh, wait, there's a jack, an AV jack, or an audio jack that's not plugged in. Whoops. So, yeah, sometimes I can't. So, Yield, thank you for enduring that.
You're welcome. We all have issues. I mean, heck, you guys lived through my squirrel not turning the internet wheel for a couple of years, so...
Last but not least, I want to give a shout out to my loving girlfriend Ashley. She is working tonight. If you don't know, she is an EMT, so she is going to probably be working a 16-hour shift tonight, out saving lives. Like, she legitimately saved someone's life already. Not tonight, but a couple weeks ago when there was a person who died, and she resuscitated them with CPR, like brought that person back to life. So she's out there working incredibly hard and overnight and for a long time, saving people's lives. So I am very proud of her and what she's doing. And yeah, my final shout out goes out to her.
Awesome.
So that is going to bring us to the end of this episode 402. Hope you like that little news blast from Yield at the beginning. Maybe we'll turn that into a regular thing.
Maybe. I'll tell you what. Honestly, it was way better in my head than how it came out. My train kind of derailed a couple of times, but...
Well, they won't hear the first time. I'll take that out of the show.
Well, you'll take that out of the show, but even the second time, there was something else I was missing.
Yeah, well, they'll know that there was a first-time mess-up because I'll leave what I just said in the show.
No, that's fine. I'm totally cool with that. So next time, I really need to write this crap down. And I always say that every time, but I really need to start writing this crap down, because I come up with some good stuff.
All right, well, that is going to bring us to the end of episode 402. Until next week, happy trophy hunting.
Hey, see y'all next week.
Save your last words, then riddle me this. Save your last words. Save your last words, then riddle me this. Save your last words, then riddle me this. Save your
The theme song is Venus by the band Even off their album Zenith. Permission granted by the band and 12 Stone Records. You can find them on Facebook by going to www.facebook.com/evenphilippines.